Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting episode of Qtrix, brought to you by ILMA University in collaboration with Rotary International District 3271, powered by Numan Group of Companies. Our today's show is very special as we have with us a woman who has devoted her entire life for humanity and has been fighting since the decade for women empowerment and eliminating racial injustice. She's one of the most powerful person in today's time as she drags her power from common people around her who are neglected and discriminated on the basis of dark skin.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are proud and blessed to have Debora Kayembe on board with us today, who is the first Black Rector of the University of Edinburgh, which is known for producing legends in the history of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Debora proved to the world that a child born in Africa with no resources can have her portrait hung on the Royal Society of Edinburgh. Debora proved to the world that a child born in Congo is not necessarily born to do the odd jobs, is not necessarily born to have injustice, is not necessarily born to be overpowered. Debora proved to the world that a child born in Africa is not necessarily going to do what the world is expecting to do.
Before starting our dialogue with her, let's watch her profile.
Debora was the first female African to have her portrait hung in the Royal Society of Edinburgh. She is a human rights lawyer and sits on the board of directors for the Scottish Refugee Council. She is heavily involved in the Edinburgh Black Lives Matter movement and is currently petitioning government to tackle racism in Scottish schools. She is currently serving as a rector at the University of Edinburgh. Her portrait erected on the wall of the Royal Society of Edinburgh. The primary role of the rector is to preside at the university court. The rector also chairs meetings of the General Council in absence of the Chancellor. They work closely with students and the Edinburgh University Students' Association, EUSA. Debora Kayembe was called to the Congolese Bar Association in 2000, and has been a member of the Institute of Translation and Interpreting from 2010 to 2020. In 2016, she joined the Language Services of the Office of the Prosecutor at the International Criminal Court and the International Criminal Court Bar Association, ICCBA. Debora served as Scottish Refugee Council board member from 2013-2016. She also joined the Royal Society of Edinburgh, Young Academy of Scotland representing refugee minorities, and has a seat as an expert lawyer to the RSE Working Group for Africa. In 2017, Debora founded the charity Full Options. In August 2019, history was made at the Royal Society of Edinburgh, when Debora became the first African to have her portrait erected at the wall of the society honoring her achievements and contributions to the Scottish Society. In July 2020, Debora launched the Freedom Walk campaign, a civil rights movement which aims to lobby and campaign on behalf of citizens by promoting social reforms, racial justice and community harmony. Debora is also petitioning to the Scottish Parliament in favour of anti-racist education in Scotland. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Debora Kayembe.
Hi Debora, how are you?
Hello, how are you,
Debora? Hello, thank you for having me. Thank you. And thank you for this done video. Thank you so much. It's always good to see what you have achieved from the other perspective. So I was really pleased to see that. Thank you so much.
So it's a long journey, Debora, and we are quite excited today as we'll be knowing you in detail, and because you are an inspiration for most of the women out there, and especially the women who belong to underprivileged areas, who have been the victim of social injustice, who have been the victim of racism. So I'm sure this show is going to motivate most of the women out there.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So, Debora, I remember a few words spoken by your grandmother. She
Yeah.
said many years ago that
Yeah.
leave her, she belongs to the world.
Yeah, I also remember these words the day it was known to the world that I became the first ever Black rector of Edinburgh University, an institution that exists for 436 years. I break all the barriers. I did the impossible that day. And that very day, I remember when my grandmother say, I belong to the world, I belong to serve the world. Yes, I remember that.
So, how do you feel? What made you Debora Kayembe?
Oh, from the start, it's the education I received from home, from my parents, the way they educated me, but also over the time where I want to contact the society, I've seen the injustice around me. Also, I see the unrest, the lack of peace in DRC and in Africa in general. It's my passion for justice and peace that made Debora Kayembe. I wanted to see peace around me. I wanted to see justice around me. I could not stand injustice anywhere near me. And that made Debora Kayembe. Without thinking of anything in exchange, just to see that justice is prevail. That's all I want.
Wow, that's great.
So, Debora, how do you feel being a rector of the University of Edinburgh and about your portrait hung on the Royal Society of Edinburgh?
You know, the two shocks came simultaneously. So 2019 is the portrait of the Royal Society of Edinburgh, and 2021 is I am the first Black rector of it. It's a making history. It's make history in less than 2 years. Big history, you know, place nobody have been before. It made me so proud to have achieved that. But the sense of responsibility that lies to these places, for me, it was the key thing here, that I want this place to believe that any other person of color can come from any other background and could be deserving of having a portrait erected for the contribution they made in the society, or any other person of color is capable to run a mainly establishing white supremacy institution and being able to achieve the mandate until the end. The thing is, for me, it made me so proud, but it's a burden. It's a heavy burden. And I live with that every day, but with proud. Yeah.
Debora, 450 societies voting for you, advocating for you when you were nominated for the rector. So how did it happen?
Oh, that was a shock. I think the first thing was when they contacted me initially to say, we want to talk to you. It was the University of Edinburgh who contacted me first. We need to talk to you. I have never had any contact with the university then, no contact at all. And I said, what's that they want to talk to me about? And I went to see them. They send a representative to talk to me. And that person says, the rector of Edinburgh University is coming to the end of his mandate, and we want a new rector, and we think that you will be the rector of Edinburgh University. I look at that person twice, I look at him again, and I said, are you sure you're talking about me? I said, yeah, you. And I told him, can you take me to the people who send you? I want them to see me as a Black woman, and if they want me to be. So we had a meeting. I went to meet them, and they said, Debora, we don't even look at the fact that you are Black. We look at what you have achieved in life. And we think that the kind of work you are doing, it will be great for the university, great for the city, great for the world. So when they told me that, I said, okay, I accept. When I went home, I think I spent 2 months. I was not telling anybody. Because I said, if I tell anyone this, they'll think I'm crazy, because I had a backlash a year before with the anti-racist campaign, where I was treated of all bad things in the world. They said I was Antifa, I was a fascist, they gave any bad name to me just because I wanted to change the way of educating the children in school. So already there was a bad audience about me there. But because I was just looking on the bad side, I didn't look at those who are looking for me positively. I thought, okay, let me just be quiet here until the date where everybody need to bring his profile on, then I will know. Until the profile arrive, no one dare to challenge me. I said, oh, so it's happening anyway. So on the 1st of February, the date where every 400 Society of Edinburgh University, we finish the checking and the backing and the contradiction, will come forward to say, we don't want Debora for this, or we don't want Debora for this. I received an email at 12:30 said, you are the only candidate being rector, and de facto, you are the rector of Edinburgh University. Oh, wow. That was something for me. I sat in my chair when I read the email. I take a deep breath, and I realized then the work I have done my whole life was not nothing. It was worth it. Yes.
Debora, you have made all the people out there very proud on you, because starting from a country, then becoming a refugee, migrating to England with no resources, your life, your children's life were at stake, and you still struggled, you fought, and now you are there. You are there on a position which is a dream, which can be a dream for any woman out there in the world.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I can feel that, since becoming a rector, my life has reached a level. What I like about me being rector is the hope I have given for so many people around the world. Not only women, men, people of all backgrounds, even here in Scotland, all white and black, all of them, saying that we think that our children can do what you have done. And that is the utmost recompense I have in my life. There's nothing else better than that.
But Debora, what I think is that the progress is there, but the progress is slow. Why? Because I was hearing you one day in which you shared a story that you went to a receptionist at the University of Edinburgh. And she, because you were not wearing your robe, so she said, get on the side because some students are coming.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, I know that you are working to seize this culture and you are trying to improve the things. But the marks still exist somewhere, and there are still signs of injustice being there. So what are you doing to eliminate this injustice?
It is definitely there. The thing is, you need to understand what is the University of Edinburgh, okay? The University of Edinburgh has never accepted any person of color as rector for 400 years, where everywhere else in the world, this change happened. The United States of America had a black president. Edinburgh University refused a black person. So this is something that people need to be aware of that. Change comes slowly. But at Edinburgh University, it's slower. I mean, slower. And then it's also some individuals. There are some individuals within the institution who still do not come to term that I was not an Edinburgh University student. I was educated in Africa. That's one. Some of them say, oh, she's not a product. Where shall we have her as rector? You understand that? And then you have some who said, okay, fair enough, she's there and we really like her. We want her. I came to the institution. It was the 20th best university in the world. Today, in less than 2 years, we have the 15th best in the world. Tell me if I'm doing a bad job. Tell me if I'm doing a bad job. So that is where we are. The thing is, in every village, you find people who are resistant to change. In every village, you'll find people who are just mean by character, just because they want to. But I think the University of Edinburgh has learned something from me being rector, and they will be from now on open to anyone who will come and challenge the post, because they know the positive effect he has given to the university. This is what we need to see. We need to see of the future, because this Debora Kayembe happened at Edinburgh University. It has happened. If Debora Kayembe find a better job tomorrow, she will leave, she will go. It has happened. The next one has to deserve the position, has to give his very best for the position, and the university need to learn to accept whatever person comes as the head of the university. This is where we are.
Amazing. So, Debora, I must add here, and would also like to ask, the people that you met initially when you were like, you were there in Scotland, when you were there as a refugee, and people who refused you and wanted to send you back to your country. I heard that story, and there were certain ladies who also rejected you for even being with them, or for even having, that refugee entitled. So,
Yeah.
how, did it ever happen that they managed to meet you now as a rector or not? And what are their opinions on that?
I think oh, I am grateful to God, whatever the God name is, Allah, whatever you call it. There is one rule in the world: do not fill your heart with hatred. Not. Because if only it was for hatred and revenge, I could never shake the hands of those people who mistreated me when I was an asylum seeker and when I was a refugee. Never. I think now these people are covered by shame. They are ashamed of what they have done. But every time I have the opportunity to meet them, I'm always smiling, always showing them, you probably have learned this lesson. I really hope that you're not going to do that for somebody else again, because maybe this next person you do to that might end up killing himself, because the abuse as an asylum seeker and refugee was really bad at my time. It was really bad. And if you don't have a strong mind, you might end up just giving up on your own life, because it was really bad. So when these people, I'm sure some of them just avoid to come to my way. And at the level I am now, it's even difficult for me to come to my way, But I kept friendly. I kept my friends who were by my side when I was in difficulties. And the day I became rector, they contacted me. I went to their home, we shared a meal, we were happy. And that is the most important things for me. My friend who knew me when I was weak, when I was tired, when I couldn't do anything, they're still my friend until today. That's the most important thing. I don't pay attention to the mean people.
That's lovely trait of yours that add the grace in your personality.
Yeah.
Debora, I was also hearing your speech, and in which you shared that when you were about to wear the robe of the rector, so you tried to find a pocket inside that robe, but you couldn't find the pocket there. And your robing master informed you that this robe is designed for a man, not for a woman.
Yes. Yeah.
You told him that I have children, I have to communicate with them. So how am I going to put my mobile phone inside the robe?
Yes.
And he told you that you have to file a petition to get it done. So you have, literally speaking, and seriously, I was thinking, when I was hearing your speech, and I thought that it is you who's gonna make the change. One day, I'm sure that robe will have a pocket inside that.
Oh yeah, I attend to petition for that. But the thing is, that robe is 400 years old. It's the only robe, is the oldest robe at Edinburgh University. Oh. And when you look at the general, you have 53 rector, you have 50 rector, they were all male. Oh. And if one day you have the opportunity to come to Edinburgh University, you will see the university have portraits. It's all male, white male. There is no black there. Until today, there is not a single portrait of a black person at Edinburgh University. But they have a total of 256 portraits. So I don't know if I'll have a portrait next year when I'm finishing. I don't know if this is going to happen. But you barely find a woman on a portrait. You show a picture of me on a mirror. I'm standing with a woman wearing. There's only one woman portrait at my office at Old College of the first woman who worked as a nurse. Everybody else is a white male. Edinburgh University is a dominant white male establishment with all the learnings, concentrate in Europe, absolutely, and Northern America. The rest of the world, they know very little about it. That's why he's so prestigious, because he represents white male power. White male power. That's why he's so prestigious. So I'm wondering, maybe the day that there'll be a portrait of me there, what's gonna happen? If there ever been one, I don't know.
But Debora, we pray that may God have, lots of portraits, not even in the Edinburgh, but somewhere around the globe soon.
Yeah, hopefully.
Actually, you have changed the history because, Debora, I know personally a lot of friends who are black men and women in the world. And what I'm amazed of is they are really very intelligent, very hardworking, very dedicated, and very strong as far as their senses and mental capacity is concerned. So, by becoming the rector of the University of Edinburgh, you have opened opportunities for those people out there in the world.
Yeah.
Because somebody is going to take your position, Debora, after 1 year or 2 years. So because the seat is not ours, we have to leave the seat for our successors. And I'm sure, because you are now the rector of Edinburgh, so most of the people are now must be striving to get on the seat, and they will be from the black people around the world. This is the way that you have opened for them.
Yeah. It's really that's why I told you that the day it was officially known and Her Majesty the Queen was informed of my appointment and also on, I look at the sky and I say, "Grandmother, where are you?" I had tears in my eyes because I wish my grandmother could have seen this day. Just this day. It was something. Yeah, it was something. Yeah.
All right. Debora, connecting to this, as we have been informed that you are actively working to address the needs of the students at the University of Edinburgh. So what are the differences of their needs, like pre-COVID and now? What is the difference between their needs?
Okay. When I arrived and I spoke to the students, particularly students from minority, they were very happy for my election. And every time I speak to them, you can see them coming to my ear and said, "We know you fighting for us up there. Just don't resign, don't leave, just stay there as much as you can. Please stay, don't go." Because there is a culture at Edinburgh University. This is wealthy family, rich family, where the children were raised in a life of privilege. And in their life of privilege, there are some understanding that students of color, whether they're Asian or they're African, are not in the same level than them. Some students think they are second citizen, very low citizen. And for someone who has worked so hard against racism, or someone has made impact in the country before coming to the university on racism, my election gave hope to the students. But what I discover is you can speak to a student. The student's telling you this. I'm in the class. All the white students are talking about things that even not essential. The teacher pay attention to them. Everything I say, it's nothing. It's like I'm just here feeling the chair. It's happened. There was a girl who was awarded 3 days ago. The time I met in February, she said to me, "As a Black woman, you work in this campus, you're nothing." I look at her, I say, and 2 days ago when she won the award, did you remember what I told you? When people humiliate you, when the stone are thrown to you, when the wind come move you and you resist them, that's your strength. And that's the strength that made you today to win this prize. I was so proud of her. She won the prize. But when I look at her 6 months ago, she was telling me, "I'm glad you're rector. I'm really glad, but being a Black woman in this campus, it's something else. It's something else." But I keep telling her, that also was my experience. Even today, as you are repeating that, I go to reception, the person only see a Black person and they say, "Go to the side," but you can't blame the institution for that. So what I did when this incident happened is that I went to the process of complaint, even though it's my institution. I went to the process of complaint and I complained. I say, this is not the way it's supposed to do. You're supposed to do this and this and this. And I hope that lesson, she got it. That's how it works. So I think the university is an international university, but it's much more Central European and Northern America, okay? And for a total of 52,000 students, you probably barely have 2,000 students from different color. So that is a small minority. And these students are coming probably already on the complex thinking that we are inferior for them. So there is a work to do here on the student themselves. The simple work to do, all men are created equal. Why do you think that what you know is simple as that? If the tutor in the room seems to ignore you, you come to me. It's my role as a rector to correct that. But you in the classroom, your voice is equal than any other student in the room. These things happen, and they still happen today. I cannot defend the undefendable. We need to speak out, to be spoken out about these things so we can see the change. Simply as that.
So, Debora, in today's world, we speak about the new normal.
Okay.
We speak about digitalization, we speak about internationalization, we speak about bringing international students and faculty to our university. We speak about transnational education, we speak about e-learning, we speak about diversity, we speak about inclusion.
Yes.
So, but what I think is that when we speak about the inclusion, there are a lot of problems. There is a disconnection between local and the global. Why?
Yeah.
When a student comes to or go to abroad for higher studies, he is being treated as a second-class student. Why? Because he or she does not carry the accent that is native. When he or she goes to the other country, he is treated like he has no money, he or she is poor. When he or she goes to another country, he or she is treated like an inferior person because of the skin color.
Yes, yeah.
So, what my question is that how does the University of Edinburgh handle this situation? Because your university must be having students from across the globe.
Yeah.
What is your approach in treating those students and providing them inclusive education?
Okay. Well, one come to inclusion. I with the experience I've had until now, I think it's very an individual issue. An institution like Edinburgh University, as the leader of the university, who need to make sure this inclusivity works properly. But unfortunately, I have to say this, unfortunately, you got a big institution like Edinburgh University, you have the senior management, which is myself and the vice chancellor and the chancellor and the university secretary, and you have the vice principals, then you have the head of schools. So you got a categorization of people up there. It's too many people having a portion of power who in their mind needs to consider this inclusivity. Even though I want to see an inclusion of many students and in a good treatment, the problem here is the system. It's the political system. It's the heritage of colonization that brought up to racism and which already lives in the people's mind, making them feel it's because I'm white, I'm superior to anyone. You know where we are. Because I'm Black, I'm inferior to this one. Particularly, I have children born in the UK, and it has been very difficult for me to fight with my children to tell them, don't think that you are inferior. Why? Because already in school, something happened there to make them believe they are inferior. So the problem we need to fight here is the system, is the education system. That's why I petition to change the education system in Scotland, because you have children sitting in class, they're teaching you about racism And there is a demonstration that happened to my daughter. They said to my daughter, "You the slave." And the other students, that the oppressor, they will hit you. They will beat you because you're the slave. Why single out my daughter? Because she is Black. So that is why I went to petition, because this problem comes from the curriculum of the education that's been brought up from primary school to the university level, where some lecturer, and I've been fighting some lecturer at Edinburgh University in the classroom, are saying gay children are not intelligent children, they are ill-mannered. But you see him wearing Gianni Versace. Versace is gay, but you're wearing Gianni Versace. Why would you insult somebody like Gianni Versace? Why? It's just this life of self-righteousness, egoism and privilege. That this what we call here the right-wing views. Unfortunately, our system of education is very embedded with right-wing views. So liberal views are not really there. So we need to put our system of education, not liberal, not right-wing, but just respectable of the fact that we are all human beings and we are all equal. That's how we need to say. But unfortunately, it's not the case. Not at all.
There is another issue that the students are facing the problem of discrimination on the basis of their gender, on the basis of their caste, of the basis of their color. This is the similar situation with the workplace. Not only students are being discriminated, but the teachers and the staff that are working for the university, they are also being discriminated similarly. What is required is that we not only need to focus on the students, we should also protect the Black men and women who are working in the university or in the higher education institutions, and they are facing the similar issues.
I mean, even in Edinburgh University, you can see that immediately. Senior role, senior academic role. You don't see person of color there. If you see senior role in the academic, the people of color on the senior role, are those who are working with the BME, so the Black and minority ethnic programs, or the Pride Network. But normal senior role, you don't see any person of color. It's all white. And I keep asking myself, do we not have enough intelligence people around us who can take those roles? That is discrimination, that is discrimination. So I'm currently doing a research on the Convention Against all Forms of Discrimination of 1964 that the UK ratified back in 1964. And I want to investigate to know, why is the system in this country, after so many, over 50 years, still very comfortable on discriminating people? Did they disengage with the convention? Because if they accepted the convention, shouldn't be like this today. That is what I'm doing right now. It's the research I'm doing right now to understand exactly what happened there between this year. But the reality is, even at Edinburgh University, all the senior most important role is exclusively white. You can either be UK citizen or American or European, nothing else. So you wonder, as no other piece of more intelligence than this can take the place? It's difficult. And since I become rector, every time there is a new post, I become a bitch, really. So for me to be about it, I will write to the principal and say, oh, somebody's here. We need to see another Black person candidate here. We need to see, because let's start somewhere, okay? Let's start somewhere. Let's remind everybody the post is open and everyone who think that he can make it need to apply. This is a big fight, believe me, it's a big fight.
So, Debora, being at the prestigious position as the rector of the University of Edinburgh, and other than that, you are also a social activist. You are saving the human rights. You are saving the Black rights. You are saving the minority rights. So. You have two jobs. Do they contradict with each other? Because being activist is the toughest job in the world ever. So how did you face any sort of contradiction between the position where you are currently working?
Well, they call me a political activist. It's because I push for deep change in the society. So I think it fits very well the role of the rector, because the rector is someone who is independent to management. In other words, I am the sheriff of the university. Even if the principal goes wrong, I'll bring him and I say, listen, I just heard you did this. What is this? You know? So the rector and my role as a political activist fit very well. I think it gives me in the big spotlight than when I was not rector. Now that I am visible and everybody sees you, sometimes I get stoned through me because of that. But it's not contradictory. It's really, if you want to be remembered as a rector, you need to stand for your views and you need to stand for what is right. You know, and all this time I have fought for human rights, and I'm not saying I was less visible. I was still visible because my work was still strong, but as rector, he has gone too far.
Exactly.
What were the difficulties and sorrows and the troubles that you faced in your life? Your children are blessed because they have not seen those hard times and they are
Yes.
privileged enough. So my question is that who will be your number two? Who will be your successor? Do you see the next Debora Kayembe in your children?
Oh, I wish to see the next Debora Kayembe in every single country in the world. That's what I need to see. I want my children to be what they are for themselves and to create their own path. Because in my family, I was the only Debora Kayembe. I will be the only Debora Kayembe. But what I want to see, it's many thousands of Debora Kayembe rising from every single country to build the change that we need in this world. That is my wish. I would like to see, in Pakistan, another young Debora Kayembe bringing the change that Pakistan needs to see. In India, in Kenya, everywhere in the world, I would like to see. I would like to see everyone identifying a male and a woman. You see, I see the spirit of Debora Kayembe on this person. Like the young girl we just gave the prize 2 days ago. When I met her 6 months ago, she was doing a presentation and she was so shy. And I said, look at me. Tell me what you are going to do. And she explained everything she does. And I said, you know what? I see in you the young Debora Kayembe. And she couldn't believe it. And she was just, now, 2 days ago, she won the prize, a prize that no Black student at Edinburgh University never won. You know, that's how it is. I need to see more people realizing what I am realizing and realize more than I could ever realize. That's what I need to see.
So, do you read Black people? Who inspired you basically, or who is inspiring you nowadays?
I was inspired more by Black people who were not known around the world. In South Africa, for example, I was inspired by Stephen Biko, the human rights, the social activist for education. This man fought for the freedom of being educated in your own language in South Africa. So in 1979, he organizing a protest of students where the apartheid troops shot the African student from school because they wanted to go to school to learn, have the education in their own language, which was Zulu. And the Afrikaner imposed them to learn in their village Afrikaner. And Stephen Biko said, is education, we're not going to teach our children something does not identify us. My first year as rector, on my first year of the tenure, my motto was identity. You do not take away who I am. I am Debora Kayembe from the Democratic Republic of Congo. I speak Swahili, that is my language. You respect me as I speak Swahili. Stephen Biko was my greatest inspiration. When it comes to reconciliation and forgiveness, it's definitely Nelson Mandela. And when it comes to being radical, the way I am radical is Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King in America. So, and when it comes to colonization, it's Malcolm X. So then when it comes to women who stood despite the difficulty, despite everything they have faced in the society, Indira Gandhi. That was the one that inspired me a lot. So there are so many people that inspired me, but in every single person who emerged in the society, I have learned something from them that make the whole Debora Kayembe. I never exclude anybody for what they have done. Mrs. Bhutto, she was something I saw on her, extraordinary woman. I've learned from all these people, learn more. So is Angela Merkel as a political figure who changed the image of the German Nazi to a German welcoming refugees. So I've learned from any person around the world that met the whole Debora Kayembe today.
But Debora, when we speak about the family, because you have different qualities and different traits, so you resemble more to your father or your mother?
Oh, there is something I miss about my father. My father told me once, you build your life into the rock. That's the best life you can ever build. And the just person will only survive by faith. That was all my father used to tell me. But my mother was a woman known for her kindness. She was so kind that she would private herself something to eat and she would give the neighbor something to eat. I remember working in the market once, my mother was working there, and someone saw me and approached me and said, "Are you Sylvia's daughter?" I said, "Yes, Abby. Your mother was a woman of such kindness I've never seen." And I'm guessing I have one through my charity, a charitable organization. Everywhere I go to do charity work, it's something I get from my mother, is to give first to the others and then compensate to the other. But being strong and strength, that's from my father. He has taught me to stand alone. He said, even when no one wants to be with you, you rather die alone than die with someone who's betrayed you. This is what he told me. Even no one is with you, you rather die alone than someone next to you who has betrayed you.
This means that power to struggle comes from the father, and power to struggle for the humanity comes from the mother.
Yes, nice.
Hats off to the parents.
Thank you. Thank you. So, you explained that so clearly. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Debora, I think it's a time to explore your personal side.
Okay.
So, are you ready for that?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Debora, what is that first thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
I pray. But then listen very carefully. If that morning I wake up and I pray and I feel that I need to address Allah, I will pray to Allah. And if that morning I wake up and I need to approach to speak to Jesus, I'll speak to Jesus. So I don't have one God. I always pray to the most inspiring person who inspired me the day before, and I raise my voice. So first thing in the morning, it's a prayer.
3 words that describe Debora.
Humbled, determined, and a winner.
Very well said. And your biggest addiction?
I watch war movie. Every movie that shows a war, how you survive, how you struggle and you win. That's me.
Would you like to give name of any movie as a motivation for other people so that they can watch and get motivation?
Okay. There is this movie which by Mel Gibson called The Patriot. The Patriot. Okay. It's the story of the man who was a white man and fight for the independence of America, the Patriot. I do also, I watch Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman is the story of the woman was not literate, was not education, but fight for the freedom of Black people in America. Harriet Tubman. Yeah.
You know, Debora, sorry, I would say one thing. Debora, you are lucky. Why? Because generally most of the people in the world, spend whole of their life in finding the mission and the objective of their existence in the world. But you are lucky. Why? Because at the early age, you find out and you found that this is the mission of your life, to serve the humanity, to help people to get their rights. So you are lucky in that sense, and you are blessed.
Yeah.
All right. Debora, what is that thing that scares you the most?
War scares me the most. I don't want to see any suffering of any people around the world. Conflict scares me the most. I don't like conflicts. I can't cope with conflict. So that scares me the most. Yes. Yeah.
That's true. Debora?
Yes?
The childish thing that you still enjoy in you.
Oh, going into my father's books. I used to go to, because my father was a professor, I used to go to his books and then painting colors on it. He would come back and say, what did you do? Appendix. Because and then he said, I see you're looking for light. Light will find you.
That's lovely. Okay. Debora, your lucky number.
9 and 2. 9 and 2.
9 is also mine.
Okay. Your favorite hobby, what is the lovely and the most likable thing that you do?
Riding a horse. Horse riding. Horse riding, yes.
Powerful women, do that. Okay, how do you describe success?
Oh, the thing is, whatever success I get, I want to have something equivalent on that success, is to see people, less and less people out of suffering. So if I am successful, I need to see that there is a consequence of the success I've done. Someone has come out from poverty, someone has come from exploitation, someone has come out. So the road to freedom for me is the key to my success. Everything I want to do in my life that can bring me success, it brings a true freedom to people around me. I don't want to have success for me. I don't want a success. I want the success that I realize in my life to be the great contribution into our society. That's how I describe success.
And Debora, when I was listening to your speeches, what I evaluated that your success is measured by the number of failures that you had in your life.
Yes, absolutely.
When you fail, this means you try. You kept on trying, you kept on failing, and now you have the success.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
There is also a saying, like, when you fail, that adds a flavor to your success.
Yes,
when there is no failure, you won't enjoy being the successful person or having the success.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Debora, how do you define fashion?
Fashion.
Because I've been.
Well, for me, I mean, yes, I know. Fashion for me right now at the University of Edinburgh is that I am the ambassador of Africa. So I attend all these meetings. I attend all these places. Like tomorrow, we're gonna have the commemoration for Her Majesty the Queen. I'm surely gonna wear a traditional art from Africa, just to remind the exchange of culture. So for me, fashion is a message of culture, first of all. Secondly, a statement for humility. Don't look at me, look at the symbol that what I am wearing means to the world. That's how I define fashion. So I don't wear expensive, I wear reasonably normal, but I want being the person who is the iconic person that represents a culture, or represent an historical situation, humbly being remembered of what the fashion represent on that very moment. So for me, fashion is always a statement, but a statement of humility.
And fashion is something what is made by the human beings. If Debora is wearing a watch, maybe it is an unbranded watch. But because Debora Kayembe is wearing that, so this is fashion. So people will be following you.
Yes.
Wearing a hat. Most of the girls will be wearing that hat because Debora Kayembe wears that hat. So fashion is what you make.
It's true. It's true. And standing by example. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Debora, your favorite color?
Blue. Blue is my favorite color.
So that's why we have the background blue.
Okay. What would you change about yourselves?
Nothing. I will be forever grateful to God for giving me the good and bad, the struggle and the success, everything that God made happen in my life. I won't change anything. I'll just be grateful to God. That's all.
Okay. Debora, this question is very funny. When was the last time you lied to your children?
Last time I lie to them all the time, just in a bit to protect them, because our children here in Europe, they are very clever. If you have to tell them everything, you end up in trouble. I think the last lie maybe 2 weeks ago.
Very recent.
I'm sure they're not watching the show.
Okay, Debora, another interesting question. When did you screw up anything and nobody found out it was your fault and it was you?
I was 6 years old. I was 6, and it was my mother who found out that it was me. Because she said, that sounds like Debora. And since then, I never allowed anybody to find out it's me. I became clever enough not to let anybody to find out anything I've done.
Debora, is Debora Kayembe a good mother, a good rector, or a good human?
Debora Kayembe, I would say Debora Kayembe will strive and we're willing to work every day to be a good human being. Everything else is not necessary for me. A good human being is the motto for me, nothing else. Because as a good human being, I can fulfill my role as a rector perfectly. I can fulfill my role as a mother perfectly. It's first the human we are before giving to the others. That's what is important for me. Yeah.
Nice. And what about your biography? When are we going to have it? Because you must have your biography, Debora.
Yes, I have, of course. I have. It's long every day. I have to send it to you, but it's been very, very, very long. Yeah.
Wow.
Debora, have you visited Pakistan ever before, or you are planning to do?
I've never visited Pakistan, but I have so many Pakistani friends from the Congo, in England, and in Scotland. We are very, very close. I hope I'll have an opportunity to come to Pakistan. I really, really, well, but most of them at University of Edinburgh are my greatest ally. We work closely with them. Recently, we enjoyed that for the first time in 436 years, the University of Edinburgh adopted the definition of Islamophobia. And it was this young Pakistani man who has worked so hard, and him and I, we managed to get that done. So there is a lot of things linking me with Pakistan. So one day I will be in Pakistan. I hope so. Yes. Yeah.
And we are really thankful to this digital world, Debora, because of this technology, ILMA University started this Qtrix show. And see, we brought you here in Pakistan. Though you are there, you are not here physically, but Debora Kayembe can be heard by all the Pakistanis out there
because of
this show and the
technology.
technology.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we are
Mm-hmm.
really thankful to the technology nowadays.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, Debora, what message would you like to give to ILMA University, its students, its faculty, its management, so that because we are also working on eliminating racism and we are also working to promote internationalization. So, what message would you like to give to all of us?
The first message is being respectful of each other. Everything starts with the respect we have from one another. If you want somebody next to respect you, and if it doesn't respect you, you're not going to get the respect back. So that's been the message I've been giving to everybody. All start with respect, respecting one another. Secondly, being caring and compassionate. I'm saying this, the university of tomorrow, it's a compassionate university, it's a caring university marked by kindness, and it's a university who accepts diversity and inclusion. And this is in every level of our institutions, from the top to the back. If we respect these things that comes by tolerance, just tolerate to understand what the other want to tell you. Just tolerate to hear what the other has to say to you. Just listen what they want to say to you. We will make a lot of progress. Why we're not doing it? Because we want to be self-righteous. We want to be egoist. We want the other to follow us, but we don't want to follow the others. So here we need to make the balance: respect, determination, kindness, diversity. These are the exercises. I'm not saying do it now. No, you need to do the exercise. Exercising that every day, and then you manage it. What I have become today is an exercise of over 40 years. It's an exercise of fighting for human rights over 27 years. It didn't start yesterday, and this is where I am today. Despite everything I have realized, I still have to find challenge. I still have to, because life continues. But again, exercising those qualities of our society comes first before everything.
And Debora, what is your feedback about the show, this Qtrix?
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. I mean, for people who are always like me, always on paper and are arguing, but looking back on yourself and hearing the way people are discovering you from a social platform, a social media platform, and hearing people asking you questions, it helps me to discover myself again. When was the last time I lied to my children? Nobody can ever ask me that.
we had like more fun questions, Debora, but I think due to the time we couldn't ask. But hopefully we'll share such questions in the coming future.
So now it's time to wrap up the show. Thank you, Debora, for sparing time. And I know you are in office and you are busy, and people are trying to come to your office, and you are seeing them 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I can see that. So on behalf of ILMA University, our Chancellor Numan Lakhani, our Vice Chancellor Professor Dr. Mansoor Daud, our Registrar, Deans, head of the departments, and most importantly and more importantly, the women working at ILMA University, the students. So we are really thankful and glad that you spared time for us and you came for the show on such a short notice. And ladies and gentlemen, with that, this comes with the end of the show. And we'll be there with another guest, another superpower in the world, and another exciting episode of the Qtrix next week. Till then, goodbye, take care, and have a nice day. Thank you.